You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver. What the hell is that? Podcast.
Hi, it's that time once again for the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast. And we're here to podcast and do podcast things in your ear hole for... So, shut up. There's not a whole lot of time to go over what we have to go over. So we're going to go over things in a manner befitting of going over. So that means enough of this dumb intro and more of the dumb wrestling talk. Ransom the Madman, Poot the Bard, Tiger Bomb Tom, Beef the Legend. All of us are here. All of us are queer. All of us are ready to drink some beer and rub each other down. Keith Lee goes to AEW. Cody Rhodes, seemingly, is going to WWE. This is the old switcheroo here, boys, that seems to be happening amongst the things. Is it possible that Cody Rhodes is the first ever superstar wrestler and then superstar once again to go from WWE to AEW and then back to WWE? Or is this a grand work? What do you guys think?
Oh, I think honestly, what I would love to see happen is Cody leaving and doing all this stuff, and there's all this conjecture, and then he shows up in WWE, plays balls for a couple weeks, and then just like busts out some AEW shit and just like goes rogue. That's the dream. It's not going to happen, but I honestly think there's no rub. I don't think this is a work or anything like that. I think it's just Cody Rhodes going, I'm worth more money, I want more money, and I'm going to go get more money, even at the price of my shame.
So are there any reports that he's been talking with anybody in WWE? Like, is that just wild speculation by the fucking...
Nope. Meltzer is like 100% saying, yep, Cody's been talking to WWE. It's going to happen. I don't know if it was Meltzer, but it may have been SRS. One of the two of them have been like firmly on this, like, yes, Cody is going to WWE bandwagon. Well, all right. So let me answer Ransom's question first. It's 100% not a work. Don't get whipped up into it being a work. It's legit happening. I've read and I've spent the last couple of days really getting down into this. Allegedly, from people who know, or at least can say they know, he was upset by the loss of booking power, and basically EVP being a title in name only, because Tony Khan really handles the reins on booking. Cody wasn't happy with that. And especially with, bigger name wrestlers coming in the last year. CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, to name a few. He obviously felt that his value should be increasing as well. Tony Khan thought otherwise, and so Cody Rhodes has taken his talent to South Beach, apparently.
Wow.
So this really sounds like a Hulk Hogan style move here by Cody Rhodes, a la Hulk Hogan in WCW. Oh, all these guys are coming in and getting big money contracts because I'm me. I deserve to be bumped up and to be matching their contracts as well, or get to be getting more as well.
I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It seems a little. I don't want to take stuff away from Cody Rhodes because he does have the talent, but at the same time, it seems a little big-headed because it almost sounds like he's saying, "Oh, you're signing all these big guys and big names for lots of money because I'm me. I want more money too." Not because I'm doing anything new or better or exciting, just because I'm me and I'm here and hi, I'm Cody. I need more money. In what world does that happen?
I think, okay, so here's I've been kind of ruminating on this.
Good word.
Thank you. Cody, to be fair, Cody has Cody has Cody over the past couple of years. I mean, really, if you want to be objective about this, because it's really easy to just go like, this is an arrogant, shitty move by someone who has, you know, a higher opinion of themselves than, no offense to Cody or Brandy, that they probably should. Cody, when he left, he was the one who really did pioneer a lot of things and methodologies that we're seeing in the wrestling world right now. He was one of the first ones to be very active with the fact of, here's the list of people I want to work with. Let's make this happen. Let's do it. And be very
also
open.
Bet on yourself. Yeah, he was like the first, like, bet on yourself.
He was. And that's kind of my point, is that, like, Cody is a pioneer. I mean, think about when he came out with, you know, and he came out in New Japan, and he was, you know, part of the Bullet Club. You know, it very quickly became like, Cody, yeah, okay, Cody's with the Bullet Club, but there always felt like a little bit of distance, like he wasn't really integrated into the Bullet Club thing. And Beef, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But then, you know, running around the indies, working with people, going to different promotions, you know, and then, you know, with his relationship with the Bucks and everything, you know, and Hangman and everything they did all in. And that was gangbusters. Cody won the NWA championship, and he's built a strong legacy for himself. But he even said, and I think the quote was something legacy. About, the thing was, the thing that he said when he first was released and everything, he said, I want to write my own music. Like, he wanted to, like, do his own thing. And the problem is that I think Cody now, what's one of the differences between Cody then and Cody now? He's a dad. I think he
dyed his hair blonde.
Well, he dyed his hair blonde, but the thing is, he's a father now. I think he's looking at things a little bit differently. I think he's looking at the fact that he thought that he was going to have more control. And whenever booking power got taken away from him, he went, well, I can't write my own story. I can't write my own music. You know what I mean? Like,
can I interject real quick there?
Yeah.
If he, in what world does he think he's going to be able to do that in WWE?
I think
I get it. He's a bigger deal now than he was before, and he did prove himself as Cody Rhodes and not stupid Stardust.
Right.
He did that. I absolutely agree with you. But as far as writing your own music, nobody writes their own music in WWE.
Not literally. He was making a connection to, like, Cody Rhodes and Jason Newsted. Love, like,
yeah.
No, I understand. Like, I don't mean write his entrance music. Okay. I understand he means, like, you know, write his own destiny, his own
right, like his own story.
Like WWE is not going to let you do that. It doesn't matter how big you get.
But
they're going to. Well,
no, but
I can't.
WWE is going to back up the dump truck full of money that he wants.
And that's like, the thing. It's like
Tony Khan was like, I don't think we're going to pay you that because A, you're getting booed when you're supposed to be getting cheered. B, not a lot of people like your wife backstage, and she's very off-putting. And C, you know, you don't have any creative control over yourself anymore.
Hold on. WWE's going to pay Cody more than AEW? Really?
Yes, because
really?
This is the first significant poaching from AEW to WWE. This is 100% the kind of thing that Vince McMahon gets his jollies on.
And that's
like. And it's WrestleMania season. That's the biggest thing. Heading into your biggest boom season of the year, you are poaching a guy who started, not some fucking figurehead, the guy, one of the 5 guys who started the son of the rival company.
And that was kind of where I was going with this, is that I think, and this was something I was trying to figure out a way to kind of like put it. But this is a really good way. I think Steven Larson over on Going in Raw said it the best way. I think that he is going to sit in a position that is kind of like where Edge is at. Not putting him on the like in the sense of like the the legend status or anything, but I think he's going to sit in that upper mid, kind of like work rate, if that makes sense. Like I think he's going to sit in that place. And to be perfectly honest, I mean, is that really a bad place to be in WWE? I mean, with the way it is,
how much you're getting paid.
No, and that's
Not
the thing
only
is, if they're gonna back up, like Beef said, that dump truck full of money for him. Listen, if he doesn't have to work as much, if he doesn't have to, worry if they're going to treat him with respect, which WWE and they have a history of this. We all know this of fucking very shore things up. They would really have to try hard to fuck up Cody Rhodes, but we also said that about the Fiend, and look what happened.
Stardust.
They're not going to put this. He's not going to do the Stardust thing again. He's not.
I know, but they still screwed him up. They did it already.
From what I've read, Vince McMahon is taking this very much as a big time snipe. Like hey, we got one of the big guys. He's not going to relegate the dude behind face paint again. He's going to treat him like a star, and that's no pun intended.
But for how long though? How long is he really going to give him a superstar treatment? Because let's be honest, okay? Vince will get his jollies from this. It was like in his mind, this is a moral victory for Vince. The fact that he was able to bring in somebody who basically started the whole coup for a lack of better terms. You know what I mean? And has been taking so much of their talent. Now, on the same hand, you could argue that Vince will go, well, I don't care that you took these guys because I didn't want them anyways, like a Keith Lee, like, etc. ad nauseum. Okay. But Vince will look at this as a moral victory. And just like anything else, when he's done playing with this new toy, how long is it gonna be before he goes, I'm bored with this toy. All right, let's do something else. Because just by Cody going to WWE, Vince is already won in his mind. That's a victory for him, and he could hang his hat on that.
And Cody's not a dummy.
Oh no,
and he's been in he's been in the ecosystem before.
Right.
I'd be shocked if Cody signed anything more than a 2-year agreement. 2 years would be plenty enough for him to come in, do some main events, and likely get relegated to the upper mid card / maybe even the mid card. Because let's be honest, even in AEW, he was a mid carder. He main evented a lot for a mid carder because he got to book himself into that role.
He Jeff Jarretted himself in there.
He did. He really did. He tried to make the TNT title like the main title, even though he couldn't compete for the main title anymore.
The American slap nuts.
No, Cody. Let's not forget, big picture here. Who keeps talking about the bidding war of 2024? Who's Cody a big influence on? Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Oh no.
Cody and Max are real tight. So and I guarantee you, Vince McMahon may be the most stubborn old man in the world. He may have his finger so far off the pulse that he couldn't feel it if it was a fucking jackhammer against his skull. But I guarantee you he knows MJF. I guarantee you he knows how good MJF is and how he is the best heel in the business today. And I guarantee you that him getting MJF in 2024 would be a giant coup. Cody basically put MJF on the scene. Cody and MJF and Darby Allin are two guys who Cody basically brought with him to AEW and made absolute stars. So
there's enough people in AEW to wizen MJF up to what is really happening. Now, before I say something about that, I want to harken back to Tom's point. And Beef, I hope you're right. I hope Cody's smart enough that he doesn't sign any more than a 2-year deal. I don't know if they would allow that or not, or if part of their negotiations is this is our hard time frame. This is what you sign. I don't know, but Cody should not sign anything more than a 2-year deal because Vince McMahon is like my 5-year-old daughter. Something is the most fun, most entertaining, best thing, best toy ever for a hot 5 minutes, and then I'm completely laser focused on something else and forget this thing that used to be the best thing ever existed. And that's exactly what's going to happen with Cody. Vince is going to get his jollies. Ha ha ha, I stole the Cody. Look who's back. Welcome home, kid. Oh, your dad would be so... Oh, John Cena. Hello, John. Cody who? Go fuck yourself. That's exactly the way it's going to pan out. It's... The shine will wear off of Cody Rhodes real quick, especially if the crowd does the same thing in WWE as they did in AEW, where they do the exact opposite of what Vince McMahon wants them to do. Secondly, guys like Adam Cole and Keith Lee can really Weisenheimer MJF up to exactly what Vince McMahon does in the Fed, regardless of what Cody says. And who knows, by the time MJF's contract comes up, the shine may have worn off of Cody Rhodes so much, he might be begging to come back to AEW. But Adam Cole can say to MJF, hey man, you might be the hottest heel in the business, but I was the hottest performer, in-ring performer in the business, and Vince McMahon wanted to cut my hair and make me a manager. The hottest in-ring performer in any company, and fight me, I don't care, you're wrong, is Adam Cole. Vince McMahon wanted to cut his hair and make him a manager for a guy who they were doing nothing with at the time, and then cut loose in Keith Lee. There's enough people to say to MJF, don't freaking do it. It's just like Among Us. Don't do it. Don't keep moving.
Don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
And honestly, real quick, if MJF did ever entertain the fact going to WWE, it would be such a watered down, neutered version of what he does now, because they won't let him get away with saying some of the stuff. He'll be handed a script. They'd
hamstring him. Yeah, they'd reel him in.
Like there's no way he'll be as good in WWE if he went there. I hope, again, to Ransom's point, I hope he's wise enough to stay the fuck away from there. Now, I mean, because I love the fact that he calls people out, like he called the Miz out or whatever. You know, like if people compare him and the Miz, and you know, basically MJF's like, you know, basically saying like the Miz is nowhere even on his level. You know, and he's right. Like,
no, he said that. He said that in character. He's gone on record to say that he really respects Miz for what he's done in the business. And Miz has also been very, you know, very good in what he said about him as well with the comparison. So
I love hearing that kind of stuff, because both those guys, the Miz to less of an extent, but like MJF lives his gimmick. Like he lives. The Miz lives his gimmick to an extent, but like outside of things, you can absolutely see Miz is actually a pretty good guy. You know what I mean? Like he's a good guy. MJF, I desperately want to see an MJF out of character interview, kind of like Danhausen did with Chris Van. I think it was Chris Van Vliet. I'd love to see an MJF out of character and just have him be like, yeah, you know, and just be even like more low key, like a little low key, a little chill. You know what I mean? Like,
there was an MJF interview with Chris Van Vliet, and like it seemed like at times that he was like starting to get out of character, but then he'd like snap it right back in, or he'd take something and kind of make it like a backhanded compliment if he was talking about another wrestler or something like that. And he'd still make the focus, you know, on him or whatever. He had a way of doing it. It was very, very slick. I definitely recommend it if you haven't gotten a chance to watch it before.
At the end of the day, though, like, we got to remember that, like, we laud AEW, and we do. Like, it is a great, great, great product, having let us down approximately 0 out of fucking 1,000 times. Like, I don't think we've ever, very rarely have we been let down.
Not let down, but we've been not let down, but been where we go like, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. You know what I mean?
If you can name one of those instances, I'll give you a shrewd buck.
The death match with the exploding ring.
Oops.
That wasn't on them though. That was on the technical difficulties. I feel.
I understand that, but the build up, it created a lot of backlash.
Yeah.
A lot of backlash.
So
Where were you going with that there, Beef?
0.1%. Where that AEW, no matter how you slice it, is the minority.
Mhm.
There, WWE has had superior ratings, with the exception of NXT.
You went full Brockus there. You went full Brockus WWE.
Raw and SmackDown have been trumping AEW in ratings, and for a lot of people, WWE is still the place to be. WrestleMania is still the stage of stage. It is the showcase of the immortals. And AEW has a lot of cool shows, a lot of cool pay-per-views, but none of which have been dubbed the showcase of the immortals. So at the end of the day, like, people are going to want to work for WWE just to get that spot. That's why AJ Styles went to WWE, because he knew it was the place to go. He has tons of friends in AEW, but he knows that the pinnacle of the business right now, whether we want to admit it or not, is still World Wrestling Entertainment.
I would make an argument there that it's not even that it's the pinnacle or any of that kind of thing, which you're right. You are correct. You are right. I will give you that. You are correct. However, what I will argue on that is that I think AJ Styles went, AEW is in the vein of what I've done already. WWE is not. Yeah. I think that was more of AJ Styles thing. Do you guys mind if I backpedal a little bit back to the Cody Rhodes thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Please.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Because for us, we look at this as, we obviously say, in Vince's mind, it's a coup, right?
Right. And it is 100%.
No, it is. And it honestly was shocking. When Beef sent that, I went, this is a bullshit. Fuck that. Like, he's going to go to, I'm sitting here, I'm thinking to myself, he's going to go back to New Japan. He's going to go to Impact. He's just going to go back on the indies. He's going to do this. But when it really solidified that it's like, okay, Cody's going to go to WWE. And enough pundits and enough, talking heads and insiders kind of are saying this, that it's like, oh shit, like this is
where there's
happening.
Smoke, there's fire.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Not just smoke and mirrors. Whoa.
Oh, whoa. The thing that I thought to myself was, how is not even just the fact that it's Cody Rhodes. If it was just Cody Rhodes and he was just one of the people that AEW hired and he got poached, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. He's coming back. Everything's coming full circle. And everyone would be like, oh, okay, that's a little shocking, but no big deal. But it's the fact that Cody Rhodes was, like Beef said, one of the founders of AEW, one of the figureheads of AEW. He was the throne breaker of AEW. He was the one who threw a lot of vitriol and stuff towards WWE, right? Yeah. With this, how, to the casual fan, how does that affect the perception of how valid AEW is? Now, I'm not talking about us, because, like, for me, I'm sitting here, I'm going, they have Keith Lee, they have Adam Cole, they have CM Punk, they have Bryan Danielson, they have, they have Red Dragon, they have, MJF, they have Sting, they have Darby Allin. I could keep going and going and going.
Yeah, please don't.
But, my point remains is that to the casual fan, and especially to the AEW or to the WWE fan who might have looked at AEW and gone, oh wow, okay, like this is kind of good. Then all of a sudden they see that, they'll immediately revert back to, haha, WWE's better. Even one of the founders of AEW wants to do it. Haha. How is that going to hurt AEW's reputation going forward?
I don't think it does.
Nope. I think that this is a marriage of three parties. Honestly, I think that AEW didn't have much for Cody, outside of him bearing the mid card, which we've lamented about. I think that Cody didn't have much left to do in AEW after being painted into a corner of not being able to have a world title shot, but yet wanting, his ego wanting to have gold. And I think that WWE actually has a spot for Cody. He's one of those new young stars that they were building that kind of went away and is now coming home, a la Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre took time off and he became a giant fucking star. I don't see any reason why Cody Rhodes' journey can't be the same. I have my doubts because we know that WWE could mess up a wet dream. But from everything that I've heard, they are committed to making him a big deal. And I understand that yes, the shine could quickly wear off of him. But in the interim, I'm excited to see how this goes because again, this is brand new territory. Because AEW, as far as I know, so they may have no compete clauses if you're let go, but Cody Rhodes just walked away from a contract. His contract was up, so he could show up on Raw. He could show up on an Elimination Chamber in 2 days.
Saudi!
Oh yeah,
So-
I forgot that was a thing.
I don't know if he's
So
going to
listen-
show up there.
I'm saying he could.
To Poot's point, this isn't going to hurt AEW at all because for any fan that is entrenched enough to know that Cody Rhodes was an integral founder of AEW, they're going to be entrenched enough to know that WWE did Boopkiss with Keith Lee. Now Keith Lee is there. Where they're going to be entrenched enough to know that Adam Cole was the best wrestler in the ring this day here today. And he's there. Same with Bryan Danielson. Same with one of the guys that really made a big stink in WWE and then left and then took all this time off and said he was never going to wrestle again. And where did he wind up going back to wrestle? AEW and CM Punk. Sting is there. People who know enough to know that Cody Rhodes was a starting founding father of AEW know enough to say all these other people that could have chose WWE didn't, or these people were just mistreated, misused, and look like crap on WWE TV, but look how they look here in AEW. If anybody knows that much, they're going to look at it and go, okay, all right, well, Cody's going over here now. We'll see what happens.
Well,
I don't think it tarnishes AEW one tiny bit.
I think that was Poot's point, though, is that's the perception that you're laying out there is how we look at it and the people that are entrenched, like you mentioned, but to the casual fan who doesn't know shit.
Or the
casual fan's not
WWE
gonna
apologist. The WWE apologist, I guess.
The casual fan's not going to be, I don't think, entrenched enough to know, oh, Cody Rhodes was a backstage big fat deal. He was an executive VP. He was one of the founding people. If they know that much, they know enough to go, oh, look at all these guys over here doing this great stuff in AEW and boo-hoo poo-poo on WWE. The WWE apologists, they weren't a factor in AEW's success to begin with. So they can look at it and go, aha, Cody Rhodes left, AEW, you suck, blah, 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 blah. But the WWE apologist viewership isn't going to matter bupkis to AEW because they weren't watching AEW to begin with. They were sitting over here with their big, stupid, dumb Stone Cold finger and their dumb bucket of popcorn with the New Day on it, which, great. Good, glad they're doing good stuff here with Big E. Waving their stupid WWE flag around going, WWE, AEW sucks a big old dick. Stone Cold Steve Austin, yeah, Bill Goldberg, woo! They don't matter. They don't matter.
That's true.
They don't matter.
They're the ones who spend all the money, though. That's the thing is that those
but they're
ones
spending
who
all the money already in WWE. They're not spending money in AEW.
Well,
it doesn't hurt AEW at all.
That's true, but that was my point is that I know that people like us, it's not going to affect our opinion of AEW. And the thing is, Cody left after AEW has really gotten a solid foothold on who they are and what they do. You know what I mean? And and according to reports, AEW has decided, or Tony Khan and the other powers that be, have decided to slow down on signing new wrestlers, because we have been saying for quite some time, and so have a lot of other people, saying that AEW's roster is getting a little bloated. And they're going to slow down on that. I think Keith Lee was kind of like the end of the bell curve. You know what I mean? Like, and the thing is, they've got it. They've got plenty of room, plenty of different programs, whether it's on YouTube or not, they or on syndicated television. They have the latitude and the ability to employ these people, give them experience, give them exposure, and then even if they don't stay, send them off into the ether, you know, to do better.
Right.
Like, so I think that AEW, that was the reason I asked the question, is just because, you know, we always come from the informed fan side of things, you know, or the people that kind of think a little bit, you know, differently about this stuff. Mm-hmm. I think that sometimes we forget that there are people out there who just are still living in the Attitude Era or the ruthless aggression era, and they just live there, and they will just always say WWE is better. Those are people that we have to take into consideration, because, like, the most upset people on the internet, or the loudest people on the internet, are the ones who are pissed the fuck off or have shit to spew, you know.
So listen, before we move off of Cody Rhodes and move on to Keith Lee, because that's probably just as equally a big deal to see him where he is now. I think the one thing that nobody is taking away from this, especially Cody himself, is the fact that the last time a wrestler said, "Oh, you're not paying me enough, I'm going to leave and go to the competition," and then did so, went to the competition where Bill Goldberg was working and had his career ended and life altered. Let's just look and just, hey, Cody, here's a word of warning. Brett did it. Look where that wound up with him. You're leaving AEW because they won't pay you as much as you think you're worth. You're going to the competition where, guess what? Bill Goldberg is working. You better keep your head in a swivel, Cody, because those kicks come fast and they end careers faster. In any case, sorry about your luck, Cody. You're going to go work with Bill Goldberg. Spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. Who's next? Keith Lee, though, doesn't have to worry about that kind of horse crap, because he's now in AEW, and frankly, he's looking pretty great. His AEW debut, I watched it on the old Tube Views. It was pretty fantastic. I don't know what you guys thought of it, but I was pretty stoked.
I still have not managed to catch up on anything. I have not found a way to watch the product yet, because the TNT app won't let me. So
it was a perfect debut, honestly. Like, it was kept quiet enough, and while not unexpected, certainly wasn't expected at that time. And Isaiah Cassidy 100% made him look like a fucking diamond. So it was an absolute perfect storm. The question is, you know, what becomes of him now? You know, obviously he's headed for the Face of the Revolution ladder match at Revolution, but you know,
honestly, what I see in his future in the short term, I honestly see a TNT title reign.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like,
I could that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to immediately shove him into the main event. They could, but I don't think we need another. You're at the top. You're being pushed as this monster. You lose. Oh, you're down to bottom. You got to crawl your way back up. I really don't think they're going to do that with him. I think that they are going to give him a nice, even, like, dude, okay, can we talk? Okay, number one, whenever his music hit, his new music hit, and he came out, legit, for the first time in a long time, I got actual real goosebumps. Like, I was so happy, and I listened to his theme. That's how I get hyped for stuff now, because I'm just like, fuck, this is so good.
It's so good.
Oh, it's so good. And then, but the thing is, can we talk about that Beal, that throw?
Yep.
Oh,
He
my.
heaved this dude.
I thought he was going to throw him into the fucking crowd. It was
That's what I'm saying.
disgusting.
He heaved him.
Isaiah Cassidy. So Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy, Private Party, are probably two of the most underutilized talents on the roster.
Agreed.
Because they are fucking amazing. The problem is that they have all these amazing fucking tag teams. How do you, like they're with Matt Hardy, which is a great spotlight, I suppose. But yeah, Isaiah Cassidy, and I'm not saying that Keith Lee doesn't look like a diamond himself, because obviously he fucking does. But man, when you got a guy who knows how to make people look good like Isaiah Cassidy does, that just makes them look even fucking better.
I have two quick questions, being that we brought up the probability of Keith Lee having a TNT title reign. One, on the topic of TNT title reigns, where has Miro been? Has he been injured?
Yes, he's injured.
Okay. I wasn't sure on that. That just for my own sanity.
Miro versus Keith Lee. Oh,
I'm here for it. I was already fantasy booking that in my head. Trust me. Two, now that Keith Lee's in AEW, where do we think Mia Yim's going to end up? Is she also going to end up in AEW, or is she
yes
going to mire around on the indies or something? Or what do we think is going to happen?
It would serve the women's roster really well to have her there.
I agree. It definitely would. I would love to see her there.
And we keep bulking about the women's roster, but I'm telling you, man, like they are fortifying in the right places.
Yeah.
And they're bringing up a lot of really great young athletes. What was her name? AQA 2 weeks ago had a fucking show out, and she's contracted now. Like Red Velvet, I think, still has a big career ahead of her. Obviously,
Absolutely.
Jade Cargill is the diamond in the rough here, but you got people like Thunder Rosa. You got veterans like Mercedes Martinez.
Facade's girlfriend, Danny Moe. She's calling out Serena Deeb and stuff.
Oh, yeah, Serena Deeb's another one.
Yeah, because Serena Deeb's kind of got this like
the professor.
The professor. She's like,
the professor of professional wrestling.
Yeah, if somebody can last like 5 minutes in the ring with her, sort of
that's a
going on or
good
whatever.
gimmick. That's a good gimmick.
Right, it's perfect for her.
And I don't know if they already had their match or not, but I follow Facade and Danny both on like Instagram and stuff. So I'm excited to see how that goes. If it has happened yet or not, I don't know. But
I mean, so like as much as we want them to like pluck these, let's be honest, the fucking gems from WWE's crown, the Boss, Charlotte, Becky, or Bailey, those are the ones that we want to see fall and be like, oh man, AW. Honestly, I think AW is doing the exact right thing, the exact perfect thing with the women's division right now, and I'd probably add Athena and Mia Yim, but that would be about as far as I'd go.
Well, yeah, I mean they've come a long way from when they first started too, and also the women that have been there that we kind of saw, glimmers of something special from the get-go. Obviously, Britt Baker, and for obvious reasons, and the fact that she's in the position that she needs to be in. But you got people like Chris Statlander. I mean, she's awesome. And the fact that she was able to come back from her injury and stuff like that, and come back stronger. I've seen a lot of her progress. Everybody that's been there is improving. And like Beef had mentioned, the people that they brought in, like Jade Cargill, like Red Velvet, stuff like that. Everybody's getting this time, exposure, experience, and it's going very well. I'm definitely more impressed with the women's division, where it is now, obviously, than where it was like a year or two ago. But I mean, and this is not to disparage the women's roster of AEW, but if you had to look at it as a whole, it would still be the weakest of the links throughout the whole company. Yeah. I would say, but that's like saying like it's still not a bad thing. Like even the worst of it, how did Ransom put it before? Like when we were talking about like the Royal Rumble and some of the women's legends that come back, like the worst Beth Phoenix match is still better than any Divas match, back in the day or whatever.
Oh yeah.
For sure. So in this case, so even the worst of the women's roster in AEW right now is still leaps and bounds, from where it was when it first started. So I'm impressed and I'm excited to see the potential for a Mia Yim or possibly Athena / Ember Moon to come there or anything like that. I think it would serve them well.
And I think that's a healthy attitude to have, is to still remember what it was like for women not even 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Like not even that. Like and there's so many good talents. Like a couple of years ago, Beef had really been pushing. He's like, no, we really, the women's wrestling is really, really good, and we're really good. And we're like, yeah, I know it's good, but yeah, there's so many amazing talents.
Well, look at somebody like Tay Conti.
Oh, yeah.
She's come a long way. She had that banger of a fucking match, a little while back or whatever, and kind of went the a la Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa style. She was donning the crimson mask, and it was just awesome stuff. Like it's.
I read, and I didn't go into the story. I apologize, but there was a headline that I saw that like former WWE star thought that the women's division was trending more towards like the diva style matches, where they were going to be given like 4 minutes of a clip.
Oh yeah, like
it's pretty fucking awful.
Yeah, it
wouldn't surprise me a damn bit.
And that's the thing, is that even back then you had some workers like if you want to say like during the Divas time, there was workers like Jazz, and who was the other
Jazz wasn't around.
No, I mean, wasn't during the Divas, wasn't she?
No.
Who am I thinking of then?
I don't know. I can't read your mind, Poot. Damn it, Poot! I can't read your mind.
That's not true. I'll take things that all of my significant others have said over the years. For 500. Who am I thinking? Jacqueline. I'm thinking of Jacqueline.
Yeah,
dude, Jacqueline. She was there, but I'm going to tell you what. Like, judging by what people have said about her, and especially when she got inducted in the Hall of Fame, a lot of people were like, she is one of the best workers at the time. Now, again, that's by that measuring stick.
Yeah,
but still,
people like Victoria.
Yeah,
yeah.
She was also she was there at the beginning. Like a lot of women
Paige.
Out that
you want to say Paige too. She
came at the end whenever they started getting real serious, because Triple H and NXT were actually cultivating women's wrestling. But let's not the pro wrestling waters are getting a little bit more rocky too, because Ethan Carter and Braun Strowman announced Control Your Narrative is going to be nearing a TV deal soon.
Really?
So it sounds like So it sounds like they're going to be running their own show.
Ethan
is
Carter?
there room?
That was a genuine reaction. I hadn't heard any of that. That's
all
awesome.
Right, listen, enough. Who's backing those two? Are they independently massively wealthy?
Clearly, it's Ethan's Aunt Dixie backing him. That's clearly the story here. I don't know, man.
Wait a minute. Is he legit related to Dixie Carter?
No. That was the gimmick.
Oh, well, stop that then.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
So it's all
funny as
well
fuck,
and good
Beef.
when
That
They're
puppy.
saying Ethan Carter said that that they are EC3 said that they are nearing a network agreement.
Yeah, well, I've said a lot of things over the course of my
TV
life
deal.
that were flat out lies. Not to mention, how many of them turned out to be massive exaggerations. They have to have some. You can't listen. It's 2022. Everything is more expensive now than it was 10 years ago. Everything. This isn't just a supply chain thing. It's not just computer chips that are shooting through the roof and I can't get my Xbox X because of all the fucking money everywhere. Bang, bang, bang. Everything is super expensive these days. Wrestling companies, TV deals, they're not exempt from this. Where are these two?
Yeah, but wrestling
schmoes?
companies don't pay TV
Okay.
companies. Wrestling companies don't pay TV companies for their deals. It's vice versa.
I understand that, but they've got to be paying somebody something to come wrestle for them. What's it going to be? EC3 and old Braun Strowman putting on 5 matches on this TV deal? No, they've got to have other people come in. They've got to have. It's a whole.
All talent featured on these previously in Control Your Narrative have been asked to be part of the project, including Matt Cardona, Moose, Matt Seidel, I'm sorry, NWA champion Matt Cardona. Let's put some fucking respect on his name. Marina Shafir, Matt Taven, Killer Cross is debuting on March 31st. Yeah.
Nice.
So, I'm telling you, you can poo-poo this all you want, but it's very clear that they have some sort of because again,
dude, I'm gonna tell you something.
AEW started as this exact same thing. It started as Cody and the Bucks and Kenny Omega
and a bunch of indie people.
Sure did, but it also had freaking Tony Khan sailing in with a yacht full of gold.
No, it did not. All Out had nothing to do with Tony Khan. Tony Khan's name was not attached until he became AEW.
I'm saying to you is
when they did All In.
Hold on.
When they did All In, it was
Not
just
you.
those 4. Well, 5
specifically.
Great, that's fantastic. But there's no AEW without the bullion coming out of the vault of Tony Khan.
You're right.
These schmucks, I understand how these freaking things work, man. You can't just say, look, we've got all this talent. We're going to do a wrestling company.
They might run it like AEW Power, though.
Maybe, but you have to figure, if you're starting a company, you're not making a profit for a few years.
At least.
Are all of these guys independently wealthy enough to go, hey, I can ride out not getting a paycheck for X amount of years? Not to mention all the production people in the back. It's not just the wrestlers.
So hold on.
Everybody
making a profit. Making a profit applies to the people that own the business. All right. That's if Matt Cardona signs on, he's going to get paid, because if they have a TV deal, which it sounds like one is coming, then they're going to get an influx of money by which they can then pay wrestlers, producers, and talent. They will be paying themselves as talent as well. So they're not going to be making owner money, but they'll be making talent money.
Okay.
And
so,
I mean, I get it. I'll wait for it. I'll wait and see what happens. But I don't know. Maybe it'll be great.
Listen,
maybe I'm wrong.
Let me.
When you think about when it all boils down to money, you have to have somebody that is brain smart managing this stuff.
Right.
Because the influx of money that comes from a TV deal will run out very fast. If you're paying all these people what they need to live on and travel, set up, tear down, production, it's going to cost a lot of money. And that TV deal money is going to run out real quick once you start shilling money out to all these people. I know a lot of people that are not very wise when it comes to money, and they think, hey, I got this influx of money here. I'm set. I'm great. A problem. Somebody in that duo there has to be smart with money, and I don't know who that is yet. So I'm not going to say yes. Another successful company is on the rise.
I would say, Tom, really quick. My point's real short. I promise, because we're coming up on 9 o'clock. But I will say this: if anyone is, it's definitely going to be Braun Strowman, or as we have affectionately come to know him as Cock Suckman. I don't know what his name is that he's running under now. Honestly, I don't.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't the like to Ransom's question about like, you know, who's going to pay for the production and this and that? If I'm not mistaken, and Beef would probably know more about this than what I do. I think that EC3 is doing a lot of the production themselves, because they're like he's not having to pay a full-on huge ass production crew like a WWE or like an AEW and stuff. I think they're doing a lot of this stuff their own. I think it's a matter of people being savvy enough to be able to utilize whatever knowledge they have of running this stuff.
But to Ransom's point, if this is going to be a televised program, which again it sounds like it's going to be, they're going to need production people on the regular.
They will. I get that. So I'm not gonna completely mark out for it. I'm excited for them to do anything. I want those people in general to be successful, because I think for the most part they're, you know, decent talents and stuff like that.
Is there room for it though? Like with WWE, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, who isn't a fucking ether, who knows where that is? New Japan Strong, MLW, GCW.
Yes.
You know,
there's always room, because look at how many different independents there are and stuff like that. The ones that aren't the like other ones that you didn't mention. The regional stuff. So I mean, even if this isn't something that it doesn't have to be on the scale of a WWE, of an AEW, of an Impact, you know,
But it sounds like that's what they're going for.
I mean, obviously you want to strive for the highest, you know, Bob 316, but like, I mean.
You can have all the independent wrestling companies out there that you want, and that's not going to hurt anything. Where you have to be concerned with is how many of these companies are now going to be televised.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so much time that you can be televised in a primetime slot. When people are going to watch wrestling, they're not going to watch wrestling Tuesdays at 1 p.m. It's not going to happen. People work. People have lives. People aren't going to go, well, I gotta call off today because freaking, you know, Control Your Narrative is debuting. Now, don't get me wrong. You want to do that, that's your life to waste. But there's only so many primetime. Shut up. There's only so many primetime slots, and people are going to watch what's established. They're going to give it a shot, but unless it knocks their socks off from the very word go, they're going to watch what's established and what they've been watching. And they're going to run out of space. People that come to the TV game with wrestling now are coming in a little late, and they're going to have a lot of ground to make up because these other companies are going to be set and established. Not to mention the fact that you're going to be lucky if you can find a network that's going to get you on a primetime slot that's not on a day that existing wrestling is already on, let alone a time that existing wrestling is not already on.
I would watch any of this over NXT.
So,
any
quick fix for that.
Well, I mean, NXT aside, that's, you know,
quick fix. But they're utilize the streaming services. It doesn't have to be primetime.
Which is what MLW is doing. Here's my question, because again, with it getting crowded, there's only so many workers, and I understand that there's a lot of independent workers out there, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the Matt Cardonas, who is currently your NWA champion, Like, is he going to also be on Control Your Narrative? I'm talking about Killer Cross, who's coming to MLW, who's also going to be on CYN. Like, how do these, like, interact? Are they going to be the same characters? I mean, obviously going to be the same characters, but if Matt Cardona and Killer Cross are feuding on MLW, are they then going to be a tag team on CYN?
That's a good-looking question, and we could probably answer that next time. But, boys, we got to get ready.
No.
Yeah.
Minutes. We got 30 minutes, and I guarantee you no one's in the fucking lobby until 9:35.
Wait, we got 30 minutes?
Yeah, the stream doesn't start till 9:30.
Yeah, but I have to set up there, Spanky.
Well, while you guys ruminate on this, I got to go to the bathroom store.
Okay. I'm simply saying this is that, and I'm rooting for EC3, and I'm rooting for Braun Strowman. Adam Scher is his name, by the way. Yeah, exactly. And Matt Cardona, I have fucking nothing but respect. Like, he's another, like, he's another one that's flying the Cody flag, man. The bet on yourself, and look, he's the fucking NWA World Heavyweight Champion. You know, I'm here for it, but man, I just feel like at some point, these ones that are a little bit smaller than AEW, your MLWs, your GCWs, your NWAs, with all due respect, your NWAs, your CYNs, they're going to start saying, hey, we want some exclusivity. Then, getting to Ransom's point, that is where the almighty dollar is going to kick in. That's when it's going to be, okay, well, show me the money, and I'll wrestle for you and you alone.
You know, I'm gonna pick a fight with Beef because I fucking hate you.
Go on.
Why, if stupid internet dum-dum, why, if he's so good, why is he in NWA? And maybe disrespect NWA. Because
I was say, you mean the most historic wrestling organization on the planet?
Yeah, the most historic and definitely the most relevant these days. You can say that WCW was historic as well. Where are they? Why is he there? Why is he not in AEW? Why didn't they keep him?
Because he's a commodity.
Why don't you keep him and put him up against people like Bryan Danielson?
Who are we on about?
Ever since Matt Cardona, ever since he left WWE, he's had nothing but success. He went to AEW. I think it was Bash at the Beach last year. It may have been Beach Break at that point. I don't remember what they called it. But he showed up and then did a small angle for them and was hyped in doing so. He then went to Impact. Had a lot of success at Impact. I think he's still their social media champion, if I'm not mistaken. And he's helping out with the talent over there. He then went to GCN, Game Changer, or GCW, beat like their fucking champion, Nick Gage, in a blood and guts match, which had the internet absolutely ripping him apart.
That's where he got his current gimmick from, the middle finger thing?
Yep, hated it. He became their champion, and now he's the champion of one of the most prestigious lineages of all time, the NWA World Championship. And yes, Ransom, I understand it's not that relevant. They you know, the problem is NWA was really starting to hit its stride with power, and then the pandemic hit, and I understand that's, you know, that's kind of the story of a lot of places anymore. And then the pandemic hit. Places like AEW that had dump trucks of money lined up by the Jacksonville Jaguars owners were like, yeah, we're fine. Of course you're fine, because you're owned by billionaires. Vince McMahon's, you know, touting the biggest profits in the world because he's had to stop paying people. Of course.
But I mean, are you gonna sit here and spout off in my ear that if the pandemic hadn't hit, we wouldn't be talking so much about AEW, that we'd be talking about NWA?
I think it'd be a little bit more in the nomenclature, yeah. I don't think it'd be as much. But, to me, I think that Matt Cardona is doing everything he should be doing. He's going out there, and again, these are not your top tier. It's not fucking AEW, but I guarantee you, from winning the NWA title and the GCW title, he could probably show up in AEW and win the TNT title with little to aplomb, and people would dig the hell out of it. I don't think he's a main eventer in AEW because we have so many huge names. But all that being said, he's a guy that absolutely bet on himself. And like Matt Cardona is 100% better than what Zack Ryder would have been these last 2 years. 100%.
All right, I'm done talking about him. I can't stay awake anymore talking about Matt Cardona.
Wow.
Is there a point that with, like you had kind of just referenced their beef, with the influx of talent that AEW has, and it's becoming ever more prevalent because of how many more people they've signed in the past 2 quarters? Is there a time that they have to have a division, not necessarily a brand split, because that's kind of probably a WWE, they're not going to copy that. But is there a roster split? Is there a division split? Do they split up the talent on various TV shows so more people get? Yeah.
I'd absolutely be in favor of that. My God, yeah. I mean, look at the main eventers that we can put in one sentence. You ready? I'll start with Christian Cage, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, Brian Cage, Wardlow, he's right there, MJF, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, baby. I think Darby Allin's right there in the cusp, but I'm going to save him for a mid-card. Jericho, I forgot about Jericho. That's 10 off the top of my head. So you're telling me that you can't split the talent and then you start thinking about tag teams. My God, the tag teams and the women. We were going on in great detail about the women. 100%. I think that they would benefit from a proper roster split. I think that if Rampage continues to do as well as it does on Friday nights, I think that they may garner a second hour. And if Rampage gets a second hour, I think at that point you start thinking about doing a proper split. But here's the question. Then if you split the rosters, how do pay-per-views work? Do you go like the first WWE brand split where you had Raw exclusive and SmackDown exclusive pay-per-views? Do you split them up? And I mean, obviously pay-per-views are a little bit more expensive to put on. So then does that then dilute your product? Those are the questions that are important.
If they're going to have roster specific pay-per-views, they have to add more. I don't think they don't have enough. I don't think pay-per-views to strictly feature roster specific talents, because if that's the case, you're going almost half a year without seeing name your wrestler on this specific roster.
And pay-per-views, I think, work a little bit differently than TV contract. Pay-per-views, I think you have to pay a certain amount to the service for them to carry your event, and then obviously you recoup that back and then some depending on the pay-per-view buys. That's very, very limited knowledge. So that's all I got. But yeah, I mean, obviously it becomes a question of, is it worth it?
So I guess my next question then is if we do go down this rabbit hole of splitting the roster, which means you need to add more pay-per-views, does AEW eventually go the route, again, following in the footsteps of WWE, and saying, okay, well, we're not going to do pay-per-views anymore. We're going to do network specials where they have their pay-per-views, except it's on the TNT app? Or do you think because there's not like a AEW network on the TNT app, that they stick with pay-per-views?
I think you're going to see AEW getting attached to a streaming service sooner than later. I really feel like HBO Max is probably going to be the leading partner for that. I think that Tony Khan's probably holding out for something different because HBO Max is not super accessible like Peacock is. I think Peacock's like free for everybody, but if you want the network, you got to pay like $5 a month or whatever. Whereas HBO Max, I think, is like 12 to get in. And a lot of people don't think about HBO Max because a lot of people don't have HBO built into their like cable providers as it is. HBO has always kind of been like, your like platinum tier of television.
Yeah.
It's and that's always kind of like a sign of like, oh, I'm going over to my friends, they have HBO, like or like the HBO free weekends. So I think that Tony Khan
Wow.
is waiting for something more, dare I say, lucrative that's going to come his way. But I think that somewhere, maybe by the end of this year, they're going to be on a streaming service. And I think if they're on a streaming service, I think all bets are off. I think that they could go the route of WWE, putting on bi-monthly pay-per-views as opposed to quarterly pay-per-views.
Now, one more question as it involves that. If they go to a streaming service, how does that work with their television deal with Turner? Does it work?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it kind of works the same way with WWE because they stream their television through, no, they have their television on USA and Fox, but their streaming services go through Peacock, which is NBC. So, yeah, I guess it could work the same way. You could still be on TNT, TBS, and have your streaming services through Freak. Who knows? Pick one. Amazon, Paramount. Who knows?
Well, and I'm pretty sure that HBO Max has that Turner connection already because a lot of the Turner channels are on HBO Max. So there's that. Like Cartoon Network, like Rick and Morty's all over HBO Max. Those Space Ghosts. Those kind of things. So I mean, there is a connection already. Tony Khan seemed to almost poo-poo the idea of ending up on HBO Max, but I honestly think that would be a really good fit for them.
I think if Tony Khan does go the route of a streaming service, he seems like a smart enough business guy to look at who has the most subscriptions in that age demographic. You know what I mean? Because
I don't know that he'll have a call. Like I think if it happens, I think he's gonna go what Turner wants him to do.
Oh.
My fear would be if they now as consumers we're like, yeah, do that because we don't want to pay $50 every fucking month for a pay-per-view.
No, don't do that. I don't want that.
We're like, yeah, free great wrestling. But like for a company, like unless the revenue deal is out of the world, like they're hurting themselves because that's 200,000 buys, let's say, on a $50 pay-per-view that they could count on every single quarter. That's a lot of fucking revenue.
Well, that's the other thing too, is if they go to a streaming service that people don't subscribe to. Like, I can't speak for everybody, but I know myself. I don't subscribe to HBO, whatever it's called, just because I have so many other subscription services as it is. I'm not going to shill out money for another one. And if AEW goes there, well, that's it. I'm done watching AEW unless I go to somebody's house who has that app. Because I can't justify in my finances subscribing to something strictly but like, AEW's there, I'm going to add this monthly subscription. No, I can't do it.
I have it because it's on AT&T. Honestly, like it comes free with my unlimited plan on AT&T. How awesome is that?
Fucking bargain.
Yeah, right. But I mean,
big money beef.
I really think it's a dollars and cents situation right now with them because if raw numbers, if you get 200,000 buys on a pay-per-view, that's roughly $10 million. So you're talking you get $40 million every year just from pay-per-view alone. So that's a lot of cheddar. That's a lot of incentive to not be on a streaming service. But it also, the door goes the other way. If you're on a streaming service, do more people then watch you because you're more accessible for less money? Pros and cons, man. I just, I think it'll end up that way because that's the way of the world. But speaking out of continuing a run-on sentence, UFC has done a good job of like having an exclusive streaming partner in ESPN for their like little fight night pay-per-views that they do every Saturday night, which is on ESPN Plus for free. But their big like UFC numbered events still cost like $65. You still have to buy that event, even though you're paying for ESPN Plus. You get all the little fight cards, but the big ones you still got to pay for.
Yeah.
So it may be something like that where they have like little smaller pay-per-views, but like the big quarterly ones you still gotta shell out for.
Show me that cheddar cheese. Oh, listen. Speaking of cheddar cheese, you know what cheddar cheese goes really well in, Poot?
A burrito. That's what goes in. Oh, well, a quesadilla too. Yeah, a quesadilla. Oh, I'm going to give you a little quesadilla. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to P3 Podcast. I can't wait to see how all the things we talked about develop and what things happen. This is a good time to be a fucking wrestling fan, is it not? We want to thank our sponsors really quick because we got to get ready for some Among Us streaming here, and you'll be able to watch it on the P3 Podcast page. Also, Casual Gaming Dad's page. Yes? No? Yes?
Yeah, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch for Casual Gaming Dad. Also live on the P3 Facebook page.
There you go.
For all you people that are going to be listening to this podcast live here
live
tonight.
to tape.
Well,
You know what I mean.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all fine.
Listening to our
Everything's fine.
podcast
Take it easy,
Monday,
fuckheads.
at Monday at 1 p.m., which Ransom was just trashing our time slot, so there you go.
It releases at noon, cocksucker.
Hey, everyone.
I'm sorry.
All right, we're going to wrap this up really quick. Go check out Casual Gaming Dad over on Facebook. Again, that's Casual Gaming Dad. Just search on him. Thank you to GouldGaming.com for having such awesome Casual Gaming Dad merchandise. That's GouldGaming.com. And also thank you for carrying the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast shirt in said Casual Gaming Dad store. It is absolutely an incredible shirt, and I love it very much, and you'd love yours too, and it doesn't cost $49.99, you idiots. Throwback! Oh. And we want to also thank Mr. Sean Tischler as well for his work with wrestling in the central Pennsylvania area. And
real quick, Poot.
And
the Hardy Brothers, the Hardy Boys are coming, or the Hardy Brothers, the Hardy Boys are going to IWC, I think, card in March. So if you want to see the Hardy Boys, go see IWC.
Whoa! Oh, yeah, it'll be like the 90s all over again.
It's going to be great. Oh, it's going to be so good. Yeah, the Hardy Boys, that's another discussion for another podcast. We also want to thank, of course, Forgot for Ransom. Forgot for Ransom over on YouTube. Always hilarious. What a wonderful boy. And also... yes, Ransom. And that actually, my Ransom Tumblr is one of the things that I moved into my apartment first. So there you go.
Aw.
Good, it should have been.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of my favorite cups. Anyway, thank you all very much for listening to P3 Podcast. Time for some sussing.
So yeah, and also the podcast does release at a good time because there are some people that I know that are unemployed and don't work and can sit and listen at 12 noon on a Monday. You shit stick.
Wow.